Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording Wednesday, July 2nd. Free agency is underway, and I guess the brunt of it's over by now, but we got plenty of stuff left to discuss regarding the Celtics summer. How you doing, Sam?
Doing as good as you can be doing with the way things have unfolded for the last week or so in Celtic land here. Today we will give you the latest. We have new surprise rumor, I guess, involving the Celtics. The rookies made their first appearance on Monday. Jack was there. We'll talk about that. We'll go through all your emails. We have a good amount today. And then we'll go around the rest of the league for all of the largest stories from free agency. And then we'll do the rat list and get out of here. It's going to be a fun show. Stick around throughout all of it and subscribe to the channel because we are here every single day with new stuff. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps are up the one after each game. And other videos are up in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. So subscribe, hit the bell in case there's breaking news. Here we go.
Indeed. Let's start with that rumor. So, according to The Athletic, the Celtics are one of the teams potentially interested in Damian Lillard. This is from Eric Nem, Sam Amick, and Joe Vardon. Or Barden's, apologies. The Warriors, Celtics, and Lakers are among the teams that have interest in doing a deal with Damian Lillard sooner rather than later. Lillard received calls from several contending teams quickly after the news of his Bucks ending broke. Question is whether he wants to sign with the team now or rehab while under their care and wait until next summer to reassess the situation. We'll talk about it in the NBA section as well, but the Bucks waived and stretched Damian Lillard. He had 2 years, $113 million left on his contract. They are waiving it over the course of 5 years for around 22.6, I believe the number was, per season, or maybe 24.6. A lot of money per season for each of the next 5 years. And now he'll be an unrestricted free agent, free to sign wherever he wants. And the Celtics, Warriors, and Lakers are among the teams that have interest in doing a deal again, per The Athletic.
Unexpected, to say the least. I didn't think you would hear the Celtics in the heap of teams who are interested in Dame. To be honest with you, I don't know why there is this massive... I mean, listen, Dame is different on a minimum / MLE deal than he was on his previous contract, which the Bucks essentially took a sword to the chest to get off of. But in the current Celtics land, in the landscape of the financials, the CBA, everything that we've had to talk about for 2 months, signing Dame to a contract that isn't the minimum makes no sense at all. Because you are desperately, even signing Luka Garza and Josh Minott, those guys are pushing you back over the second apron. We did a video yesterday that said the Celtics have to make another trade because they do if they want to get out from the second apron. If they sign Damian Lillard, they also have to clear another roster spot, I think, to do so.
But they're going to need to clear roster spots.
Further putting themselves above the cap, above the second apron, and handicapping themselves from making future moves. So it's kind of surprising to see them there. I don't really see the appeal of it right now, or even down the line. I guess you take a risk. It's almost the equivalent to signing Luka Garza or Minott, where you're like, man, maybe next year, you'll learn something. There'll be a good piece for the championship team when you try and make a push again. But Dame's not giving you anything in 25-26, and he's going to be 37 coming off an Achilles injury the next time he plays. So I don't really know if you're going to be getting anything from him anyways. Maybe just catch and shoot situations. He's going to have to be your Pritchard Light off the bench if he plays. I don't understand the appeal of doing it unless you wanted him to rehab with Tatum just to give Tatum some company. I put in the First to the Floor Discord today, it's like having a house cat and getting a second house cat so the house cat has a friend. That's the only appeal to me.
Listen, I mean, Damian Lillard as your first or second or even third probably option at this point, you can't do it because that insinuates that they're making $50+ million, even $30+ million. And with his defense and, limited ability to play on that side of the floor, that's not worth it. That said, he's still Damian Lillard, right? He's not putting up 30 points a game on 50, 40, 90 anymore, but he's averaged 24 and 25 the last 2 seasons while shooting 37-ish% from deep one year and then 45 the next year when he got more comfortable, averaging 7 assists a night. He's still an elite point guard offensively. He is. I don't think anything the Celtics do is going to be taking them over the second apron this year. Like I can only assume that their potential interest in this is if it's a minimum contract or if we have enough flexibility to sign him to like a something biannual exception or MLE or whatever they could create that is now available to them by shedding enough salary to bring him on board to rehab with Tatum, maybe. That said, having 2 roster spots be wiped out by players who can't play is also a really dangerous game to be playing. You also have one. I don't think it makes sense from the perspective of if he wants more than the minimum and that what I just said of having 2 roster spots basically being, unusable, because that's just not like for the purpose of putting out a competitive roster, like let's say 2 more players get injured, you're just kind of screwed. So that from that perspective, it's not really worth it or you can't really get it done that way. That said, I don't know how exactly the disabled player exception works. Like, could you apply for one for Dame and or Jason, and then you could get up to 2 more roster spots? Like, I'm not saying like they should do it, but that would cancel out my concern of having 2 empty roster spots, right? Like theoretically, you could sign minimum guys that way through the DPE and figure it out from there. As far as like Dame, the player on the Celtics, like regardless of the salary, because let's assume that they're going to do it by getting to the salary point they want, including Dame in the plans, right? Or let's say they get 2 DPE players so they don't have to worry about not having enough bodies, right? Let's say those 2 are magically fixed. Dame, the player on a minimum contract, why not? Like why? Like what's the downside? Dame, the player on a $5 million a year contract. I still say why not? Right? Like it's not like you're getting, a 40-year-old center who can't move and like he's still putting up 25 and 7 a night on efficient shooting. Like he's like to this day. And I get the defensive deficiencies, but if he is your 6th or 7th man or even your 4th guy, right? Let's like by the time he comes back and Tatum's comes back, you'll have Jason, Jalen, Derek, Peyton, and Dame. If you get a center that is not Nimish Queta, Amari Williams, or Luka Garza, right, which theoretically you would do by the time Tatum comes back, run it. Like the problem in Milwaukee was they just didn't have the personnel to make up for that because they had like obviously Giannis is a elite defender, but Brook Lopez is slow, right? Gary Trent is like an okay defender. They had Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins, and Torian Prince and Kyle Kuzma as the rest of their guys. With the Celtics roster, if you can get Dame for a minimum or even a little bit more than that, like as long as he's not making a full MLE like 15 mil, I think that's probably a bit too rich for what the Celtics are doing with the rest of the roster. You can get him for a cheap enough contract. Like he's going to give you great production, especially if he's not one of the lead guys. So Dame is no longer the Dame of old where he is leading teams to conference finals or can be the top 2, whatever option on a team. But if you're in a position like the Celtics and like you can add this talent for cheap, which if anything, you should be trying to find cheap talent. I don't hate it as long as it makes sense from a perspective of financials and second apron and having enough bodies for the season. I don't absolutely hate the idea.
It sounds like a given, but I feel like it should be said. This also only makes sense if you're giving him a multi-year deal that is towards the minimum. Like imagine you just give him like 1-year deal, he rehabs at the Auerbach Center and then pieces out. That'd be kind of crazy. I mean, I'm sure it would be a gold star on the Celtics resume. The Celtics, by the way, Dame did not want to come here when the whole trade thing was happening 2 years ago. And the Celtics, by the way, were a good team coming off a conference finals run. He had no interest in Boston. Chris Haynes went on multiple podcasts, talked about Dame not being interested in coming here. I'm not convinced he's going to want to come here now, especially considering the state of the team, the exodus that's happening with a lot of the players, and just, I don't know. He's from Oakland. It makes sense that he would want to go play for the Warriors, who were also mentioned in this. West Coast guy, the Lakers would probably make more sense than the Celtics too. If he came here, it would be fun. Like, it would be fun on paper. You still have to see what he looks like after coming off the Achilles, because even regardless of how confident you are in Tatum coming back, Tatum is also like 10 years younger than Dame. So that makes a difference in this whole process too. Not to say that he can never play or be serviceable again, because you're not asking him to be all NBA Dame, like you said. But I think weathering the expectations would be a smart thing to do. But again, I mean, nobody is really even complaining when you sign Luka Garza to the $5.5 million, whatever he signed to. Like, nobody's going to be irate if you bring in Dame on a nothing contract. There is no risk with that. The only risk is he doesn't work out as a roster spot and you just don't really play him. But you're not hurting the cap at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's all financials, right? Obviously, I don't think anything the Celtics do is going to be putting the second apron plans or even like getting under the luxury tax line at risk. Like, I think that is going to be their top priority. Like, that's just how they're going to operate for the rest of the season. I don't think they're going to risk that. So I think any Dame Lillard to Boston scenario would keep that in mind, would have the context of, okay, they're going to stay under the second apron. They're going to just bring him on to maybe play next season, see what he can give you. But if it's a cheap contract, I don't hate it. I don't love the fit. I don't know that Dame would love the fit either, because you're probably going to end up playing second fiddle to Derek White in the backcourt and certainly third fiddle to Jalen and Jason at the very least, right? So maybe he values that at this point in his career. Like, maybe 2 years ago, it was, I want to be, a top two guy still. And 2 years later, now that he's dealt with all these injuries, he's like, all right, let's just give a team what I can give a team and try to win big, right? So you never know how priorities shift within the span of a year, let alone 3 and an Achilles injury. So we'll have to see. But I don't hate the idea if it makes sense with the logistics. It's just, you can't pay him too much. He can't be a top option, and you need to make sure you have enough bodies to go out there this season and play basketball games. So we'll see what happens. I think there are certainly teams around the league that make more sense for him, but if the Celtics can find a way to make it work, then why not? Next thing is the Celtics rookies are in Boston. So Hugo Gonzalez, Amari Williams, and Max Shulga did get confirmation from Gonzalez that it is Hugo. It's not Hugo. It's not Hugo. It's just Hugo. There's no H. You just don't say the H. Just Hugo. Like OOGO. We're in Boston at the YMCA at Huntington Ave, the first YMCA in America. So opening up a new basketball court for the kids there. And it was fun to see. Hugo was really into it. He was just messing around. You could tell he was very comfortable. Like, it's very clear he's been a professional for a long time. Amari Williams, Max Shulga were happy to be there too. They all talked about the process, talked about Summer League a little bit. It sounds like Hugo Gonzalez wants to play in Summer League, so we'll see what happens depending on if the Celtics make the decision. But the rookies are here and they're ready to go.
Yeah, just a little bit more on Hugo's Summer League. The Spanish national team head coach spoke yesterday about the availability of some key players. He said Hugo Gonzalez would be here if he didn't have to go through this rookie process before the season. So it sounds like there is interest from him in playing in the Summer League. We haven't gotten confirmation just yet, but we know for a fact that he won't be playing for the national team to prioritize his rookie season with the Celtics. So it is completely Celtics related that he is not going to be playing for Spain, which is, I think, fun in the short term. It would have been fun to have Hugo playing in the Euro Cup in late August for us. It would have been really good for content. But if he does play in Vegas, it'll be really exciting to get a look at him early, because there is a good amount of excitement about him just based on what guys have said, what the film tells you. Jack can tell you all about how intense Hugo is and how much of a winning type player he seems like just by watching the tape. So adding that to the Celtics will be great. And considering what the team looks like right now, he might have a lot of opportunity as a rookie to get his feet wet, to make mistakes, to get a feel for the NBA. And that might be the best thing going forward. Like, truthfully, as much as it's going to stink to see the team lose games more than they've lost, and who knows how long, like probably the most since 2020, 2021, you're going to have to watch them lose. There's going to be growing pains, but it might end up helping down the line when they are ready to compete for a championship, because you cannot just throw somebody in like Hugo, even though he might be a bad example just because he's been playing a high level of basketball for so long, to like a playoff situation with no experience and expect them to be completely comfortable. There are some guys who can do it. Like, we saw Tatum as a rookie really step up and be ready for the moment. But there are other guys who are just like, whoa, this is completely different, and there's growing pains. So getting them out there just comfortable playing in the league is great next year.
Yeah, I mean, Gonzalez said himself that he wants to play in Summer League. So we'll see if the Celtics allow him to, if they are worried about exhaustion or strain on his body after playing with Real Madrid in the Spanish league for so long, so deep into the season. I mean, they won the championship. So I think that's the biggest thing. Other takeaways from the rookie event, we heard about Max Shulga getting dinner with Nimish Keita, talked about how they have been catching up, how it's cool for them to be on the same team again. He said his dad was a referee, and so that's how he was around the game as a kid. And then Corrales asked him, "Has that changed your attitude towards referees?" He said, "No, he's still player ref." Amari Williams talked about how he's met up with or talked to a few of the guys. Said he's talked to Baylor a little bit. He remembers being with the Celtics and going through pre-draft workouts with them. So just some general stuff. I'm sure you can or you can definitely go watch the pressers at CLNS Media or read up on them with the array of articles going around. But before we continue, I need to tell you guys about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action this baseball season, this basketball season, any sports season that you want to get in on the action. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player props for a chance to win up to 2,000x your cash. As I've been saying, I've been watching a lot of Red Sox games. That's been my go-to. Stan Rafaela has been my guy lately. He's been on fire. Pick more on his hits. That's been my go-to. I mean, Wilyer Abreu had a 2 home run game the other day too. So if you'd picked more on that, you probably would have been feeling pretty good inside the park or in a grand slam. What are the chances of that happening in a single game? So shout out to Wilyer Abreu. PrizePicks, the best place to get action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and right here in Massachusetts. It's also the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. Same and I do the PrizePicks every single pregame show during the Celtics season. So make sure to tune in there if you're looking to watch the action go down. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, let's check out the email. Reminder, as always, you guys can email us at hbtcpod@gmail.com. That's hbtcpod@gmail.com. First email we got today is from RJ. RJ says, new nicknames for Bill Chisholm. Evening, folks. With the Celtics championship roster in shambles after the ownership change, I think it's time to consider new monikers for Bill Chisholm. Billy Banners has aged like milk left in the summer sun. Billy Bummers is an easy pivot, just like moving off of KP's contract. Billy Billions, no, given his search for other investors and desire to cut down the tax burden. How about Billy better check those couch cushions again? Or we could just go with a simple Billy bust up. Maybe I'll be in a better mood tomorrow. Be well, RJ. Just to make it clear, and the nicknames are funny, this is not Bill Chisholm's fault. Like 0% of it is Bill Chisholm's fault. This was always going to happen. We've talked about how this was going to happen since the preseason.
Wick went on the radio and said it was going to happen.
Yeah. This was always going to be a thing. They were always going to look to have a cheaper roster this season for the second apron. They were always going to look to reset the finances. It's just unfortunate that now Bill Chisholm is probably going to get painted in this light. It's just unlucky, honestly.
Yeah, he seems super pumped to own the team. Like, from all accounts, he wants to help them win a championship. But there is a layer to this, too, that if you're in, the plan might have changed when Tatum went down. Like, I think Jack's right. Like, there was always going to be cost cutting, right? Like, there was no getting around it. Like, they want to maneuver and get around the second apron. They don't want to have to deal with the basketball penalties. But, I mean, we'll talk about it later in the show, but, like, you're seeing the same thing happen in Indiana where they're a little bit less willing to cough up extra dollars now because they don't feel like it's going to benefit them in the short term. If you're Boston, you might not be willing to, I don't know, pay Luke more than you would have this year now. You might not be willing to stretch on Al. Like, I think those are two guys that Stevens has been very public about wanting to keep around, but you have to avoid these penalties, and Tatum's Achilles tearing doesn't really help you feel better about being penalized for another season, if that makes sense.
I mean, every 4-year contract becomes a 3-year contract. Every 2-year contract becomes a 1-year contract. Every 3-year contract becomes a 2-year contract. Correct. And all of those, cut downs of the years are in the first year. So you never know. Like, what if Luke Cornett gets hurt the second year? Then it's a 2-year. Like, so much becomes unknown that it's really hard to pay guys. And on top of the fact that the Celtics were always going to cheap out this summer, just makes it kind of hard. Next, we got Jack. How do you guys feel about Doc Rivers? Do you think he deserves all the criticism he's gotten? Do you believe it's his fault that his teams, after the Celtics failed? And what percentage of blame should he put on a coach if a game or series is lost? Me personally, I don't think he deserves as much criticism as he's gotten in the past, although I do agree that it's a decent amount of his fault or blowing the 3-1 leads because you need to manage your players and you also need adjustments. At the end of the day, though, I feel like the players have pretty much all control in the game that decide the outcome. Well, I'll say this. He probably doesn't deserve as much shit as he's gotten. However, the point of the players deserve all the blame in a game, it's also on the coach to put in the right players. because the biggest criticism with Doc is, why are you playing all these old guys when you have some of these younger guys who are very clearly better and more equipped to help your team? Or why aren't you playing the younger guys in the regular season to see if they can help you? Or why aren't you adjusting mid-game? Or I think the blame of a coach wholly depends on what happened in the series, right? Like, I don't think a lot of people blamed, was it Brett Brown at the time for when the Sixers lost because of Ben Simmons, right? Like it just partially, but like,
well, when
I'm
they
saying,
lost, which time with Ben Simmons?
when he scuffed the layup, the Trae Young Hawks one.
Doc Rivers may or may or not been the head coach of that team.
Regardless,
and threw Ben Simmons under the bus at the podium.
You're right. It was him. My point is, that's probably a little more on the players. If the players have that direct of an impact versus a series where he's coaching the Bucks and he's playing these wash old guys instead of trying to, throw Andre Jackson in, or trying to do, like, there's a nuance that I think is involved in whether to blame. I don't think Doc deserves all of the blame he's gotten, but he certainly deserves a chunk of it.
Yeah, Doc has had bad luck too. Like, if you want to point to some of the 3-1 things, like the specifically 2010 finals, like Perk tears his ACL and then like they lose 2 games because they were a bit small. Like, that's one of the collapses people reference. These 2 Bucks teams that he's been a part of. Granted, once he took over the Bucks last year, the Bucks got significantly worse. So that is not a good thing to have on his resume. But in the playoffs, like, they've been injured both years. Giannis was out last year. Dame got hurt last year in the playoff series. And then this year, obviously, Dame blows his Achilles. And the team had already kind of been gutted because Middleton was traded to avoid the second apron. I think there is a mix of both. Because as much as, like, the Simmons thing in 2021 was a on-the-players moment, they lose to an Atlanta Hawks team that they had no business losing to in that series. And
yes,
Doc is a 7-game, participant in that series, like it or not.
And I will also say, the fact that we can sit here and say one of the 3-1 problems, not great. The fact that there's been that many. And also he has been on the record saying, why don't I get credit for going to 7? Come on, man. Like, can we be a little serious, bro?
I am a big fan of Doc Rivers. I think he's really good in the media. Seriously, like, I think he's really fun to listen to when he does media. He was very nice to me in person when I was at the press conference, said hello to me afterwards. Very kind guy, good with the media, but maybe his window for coaching should not be open anymore. Especially just thinking about how things have gone in Milwaukee. Like, taking over Adrian Griffin when you're 31-13 and then finishing barely around 500 for the rest of the year with Giannis and Dame is brutal.
Yeah. I mean, he's 63 at this point. The Bucks are now going to be paying 3 coaches and Damian Lillard for the next X amount of years.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. Next email we got, I believe it's from Jack again, if I'm correct. Says, it just seems like there are so many flyers being handed out by the Celtics with these draft picks and signings. How many do you guys think are going to turn out into a rotation piece? Do you think any will? Who do you think is going to get the most minutes this season? I mean, based on the current structure of the team, Luka Garza seems poised to get some decent minutes this season because they don't really have a center. I don't know, Josh Minot or Minot. Apologies, I need to figure out how exactly I pronounce it. I like him. I think it's a good upside swing. I think both players are good upside swings. I've started watching like some Luka Garza games to do a TikTok, and he's like fine, right? He still has some of those I'm going to get deep in the post and bully you from the time he spent at Iowa. He's a solid screener. The shot's not that bad. The defense is a question, but he communicates really well. He understands where he's supposed to be. Sometimes it's just a little bit out of position, and he can't really jump, so he doesn't really commit a lot of jump first fouls that some of the athletic guys do. So I guess that's a positive. But with Minot, the athleticism is there. He's a freak athlete. He's a really, really good defender, point of attack and off the ball. He's just not really a good jump shooter. However, if you can kind of teach him to roam those dunker spots, and he's done a little bit of that with off-ball cutting, I think you could use him as sort of like a fake Robert Williams on offense and then a stopper / roamer on defense. So if you can find the right way to use him, I think both could be fine. Do I think either of them are going to turn into rotation pieces for the Celtics? If I had to place a bet, I'd say no. But that's kind of the point of a flyer. It's a flyer for a reason. It's not a sure thing.
Yeah, and, I will say this about, well, really both of them, but more so Garza. Garza is a very interesting piece because he's had the opportunity to be a part of 2 deep, Western Conference playoff teams in the 23-24 Wolves and the 24-25 Wolves. They both lost convincingly.
Minot too.
Yeah, Minot. Was he on both or just last year? Okay.
Both.
What I was going to make the point why it applies more to Garza is, like, Garza had a really good opportunity to learn from Gobert, who like him, don't like him, think he's overpaid, don't think he's overpaid, is one of the most consistent defensive guys, especially in the paint, that the NBA has had in a while. And he's also a very low usage guy on offense who isn't great, but is asked to do a lot of the things that we saw the Celtics do with Luke Cornett. And if you're thinking about the fit, the system, Garza having that mentorship in Minnesota. I don't know how close they were. I don't know how often they talked and worked together, but I'd imagine being two big men on the same team, they're doing a lot of the same things, at the very least. Having Garza bring that experience with him to Boston does open the door for him to be a guy who thrives with the extra opportunity. And also, like you said, it feels like a given that he's going to get more opportunity. Like, you would probably rank up first on the depth chart for Boston. I don't know if Missoula would. He might lean into Nemi because he's had Nemi for more years, but that doesn't mean he trusts Nemi because he's had Nemi for more years. Like, he knows what he's getting with Nemi. So I'm not sure who to expect as the starting big man on opening night. Might be someone who's not on the team yet. But I think the door is certainly open for both Garza and Minot to do something, right? Like, I know Minot asked out or asked to have his rights rescinded, whatever they do with RFAs, so he could go to a place where he's going to actually have an opportunity to play. Like, that's what he wanted this summer.
Yeah, man, I don't know. It's kind of just a signal the Celtics are going to go figure it out. It's going to be a gap here. It's going to be let's see what we have in a lot of these guys, and maybe that's for the best. I mean, you see the 2020 Warriors, right? Like, not much came of that season, but they kind of got a better feel of who they thought was going to be longer term pieces once Steph was back. And I feel like that's going to be what this turns into, like it or not. So we'll just have to wait and see which guys those end up being. But hopefully we get a fun season of uncertainty. It's like when we get those games where only the bench warmers are playing, except that it's an entire season, which makes it a little bit less fun. But last email of the day, question correction. Jack says, I meant, what GM would you guys least want to be right now based on the roster you would have to work with? I see. So what roster would we least want to be the GM of? See, maybe my brain is like backwards, but if I was a GM, I would want the most work to do, right? Like, I don't want to take over the Cavs or the Thunder, right? Like, my job is done. Like, there's nothing to do. If I had to pick, I would pick the pre-2025 NBA draft Nets. You have 5 first-round picks. You have a completely blank slate to work with. Run it. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what young guys you can bring in. So that would be what I want. I would least want a team that's already done. Like, I don't want to just jump on board a random team and figure it out from there. I mean, if you want the answer that's also like a bad team, I guess theoretically I wouldn't really want to be like, I don't know, the Suns. Like, that's tough. There's not much to do, but at least they got the
Suns
KD
be
trade
pretty
done.
awful.
So I don't know.
The Suns are a really good answer. I don't really think I would want to be involved with the Pelicans right now, like today. Like, if they fired Joe Dumars right now and they're like, Sam, go ahead and step in there, don't think I would want it. Not having the pick next year is kind of tough, especially when you're kind of in a flux with injuries and not knowing who's going to be on your team or what you want to do with your current group of guys. That would be a good answer. In the East, Toronto maybe, but not really. Like, they have some decent players, but they're spending a lot of money on guys who aren't going to help you, win at a high level. At least,
And
it
also,
doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, for context, to be perfectly clear, obviously I'm answering for the hypothetical. If I got offered a GM job today, I would take it. I don't care what team. I would take it for a G League team. Like, I just, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, obviously you take that chance. Anyways, let's move on to the NBA section. The Bucks have imploded in front of our eyes internally. They waived and stretched Damian Lillard, which we talked about earlier. He had $113 million left over 2 years. It's now going to be a 5-year waive and stretch. I can't change it to the NBA section branding. I don't know if you can. It's just not working for me.
Let me see.
But they also signed Miles Turner to a 4-year deal for $108 million, I believe was the figure. They brought in Gary Harris. They re-signed Torian Prince. They traded Connaughton to the Hornets with 2 second-round picks. And they are now going to figure it out. Re-signed Jericho Sims. and they're now going to try to probably reconfigure the roster around Giannis. I mean, they re-signed KPJ too, so the lineup's probably to be what? Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., Kuzma, Giannis, Miles Turner. Not pretty. Maybe it could be okay in this version of the Eastern Conference. What a disaster Milwaukee has turned into, though.
What do you think of the Dame wave and stretch? Immediate
Dude,
gut
stupid.
reaction when you saw it.
Stupid.
You thought it was stupid.
What are we doing? Like, what? Why?
So first things first, I like the Turner signing. I thought that was, they lost Brook Lopez. I thought that was a good replacement. Guy does a lot of the same things. Shoots the three pretty well. Defends the rim pretty well. They did a good job of like patching that hole really fast.
It's fine, yeah.
Dame, what was he under contract for? 2 more seasons this year and then
2
next?
more. Yep.
They just have like this weird Giannis problem where Giannis is like pump faking. Oh, I might want to leave. I might not leave. The media is doing a lot of legwork for that too. Like Giannis might actually not be doing anything, but the media.
Yeah, I don't think Giannis has done anything. I think it's been fully a media thing.
Well, I'm sure he's not thrilled. I don't know. I'm not going to be like Giannis is toxic. That's not really the point.
Well, I'm sure Giannis is saying, "Hey, I would like to win, please." I'm sure that's happening.
So the point I'm trying to make to go along with that is it might be easier to win in the short term if you get rid of Dame. Like if you're Milwaukee, you're saying to yourself, we still have Giannis, correct? Like big fact, Giannis, top 3 player in the world, still on your team. Dame, $60 million in dead cap for next year. You're battling financial constraints. You got under the second apron last year on purpose by trading Middleton, who was a big part of your team for a while. Then you're able to make a move for somebody like Miles Turner, who replaces another guy who was a big core piece to your team. The rest of their signings, I don't know how much I like any of them. Gary Harris is okay. Didn't play a lot for a good Magic team.
So then, let me ask you this. If Dame was healthy, would you still have done it?
Wave and stretch, no.
Exactly. And so,
I would
in my
have tried
opinion,
like hell to get rid of him, though.
Sure, but you weren't gonna. Like, no one's taking that contract unless you pay to get off it. My point is, now, like, in the short term, fine. The next 2 years, you have a little like 30 million of extra flexibility. It's pretty good. You now have 22 million, 22 whatever million, maybe 24.
Right. Significant money.
22 million of dead money on the books. That is 23 million you cannot spend if you are not willing to pay. And they clearly aren't willing to be a second apron team that badly if they don't have a roster. Like, for the next 5 years, for the rest of Giannis's prime, you have 23 million in dead money on the books. Dead money. Cannot use nothing. You have to pay it like it's, you have Derek White on the books, but no Derek White. Dead. Nothing. You have nothing. You get nothing for that for 5 years, rather than eating 2 more or 1 year of no Dame and then a year of a wash Dame with whatever you can figure out, then having the next 3 years of free from that 50 million. You now have 23 in dead nothing money. And Giannis isn't happy that you did it. And Giannis is like not pleased the way things transpired. And you pissed off the one guy you're trying to help. I mean, listen, like, is the roster with Dame or without Dame and no Miles Turner? Like, let's say they have this exact roster, except there's no Miles Turner and no Dame. Awful, right? Is the difference between that and just having Miles Turner the difference between a playoff team and or a championship team? I don't think so. I don't think that's the difference. I don't think that's going to make that big of a difference. Like, Miles Turner is cool, right? Don't get me wrong. He's a pretty good Brook Lopez replacement. He is not that guy. Has he ever averaged?
We all watched the finals.
He's not that guy. You basically just sacrificed $23 million in flexibility for the next 5 years for the rest of Giannis's prime for Miles Turner. Nasty work. That's just nasty work.
So the Bucks, if Spotrac's pending roster is correct, actually aren't paying that much money. They are 15 million below the tax, 43 million below the first apron, and 55 million below the second apron. And I know you mentioned that they probably are not that interested in paying the tax because of the way their roster is. But they do have flexibility with, like, I mean, just about everybody they brought in on contracts besides Turner was on pretty reasonable deals. Like, would you hate paying Bobby Portis $13.5 a year?
No, it's fine. The roster's fine. It's just bad. And that's the problem.
It's not very good.
That's the
But
problem.
like having guys like Micic, Porter Jr., Trent Jr., Gary Harris, like those guys are all relatively tradable contracts too. Like if you
my point is this roster minus Turner plus a no money Dame has just as good of a chance to win a championship than this. Like Miles Turner is not making that big of a difference to me. And so you are sacrificing 5 years of financial flexibility with that $20 million for you're still probably not going to do anything. Miles Turner's not moving that needle for me. He's fine, but I would rather have just signed a $5 million center and gone from there. Like this, like if you were doing this for another, like can help you run the offense guard or another like two-way wing, Miles Turner is just not that guy for me, man. We've only ever seen him play in systems with like elite playmakers, right? For as much as you don't like Domantas Sabonis, he was a great playmaker. He helped run that offense in Indiana. We saw him play next to Paul George, a really good like ball handler type guy. We saw him play next to Halliburton, one of the best playmakers ever, and his numbers shot up. He now has no point guard. He now has nothing. And for as okay as Miles Turner is as a shooter, it's not like he's ever been incredible. His best season was this year, shooting 39.6% next to one of the best passers in the NBA.
Right.
Like
and the numbers speak for themselves. Like I saw Caitlin Cooper posted something about like Turner top of the key attempts / percentage and efficiency with Halliburton was like significantly more attempts, significantly higher efficiency. Halliburton off the court, significantly lower attempts, awful like 22% on all those attempts. Like I think Giannis is not a bad playmaker, and he has significant gravity, and it's going to create open looks for Miles Turner, but it would be silly to put him at like the elite point guard level of reading the game. Like I think that would be pretty unfair.
who?
Giannis. Obviously, he's not close to Halliburton.
No.
But he's able to create shots for his teammates just because of how dominant he is.
Listen, sacrificing 5 years of flexibility in Giannis's prime in the biggest wave and stretch in NBA history for Miles Turner does not do it for me. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. I can't get there.
I'm not like this is the greatest move ever. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm like more neutral. Like I'm like
who's scoring outside of Giannis? Like, and I know Dame
the secondary
is like
scorer is going to have to be somebody like Gary
Kyle
Trent or
Kuzma.
Kevin Porter Jr.
Kyle Kuzma.
Well, Kuzma, I guess.
It's Kuzma. It's Kuzma or Gary Trent as your secondary
in a
scorer.
playoff series. Like Gary Trent was decent.
We can shit on Dame all we want. He was giving them. Gary Trent was fine in the playoffs. Whatever. That's a 7-game sample size. He got hot from 3. It's fine.
He absolutely did. No getting around it.
Damian Lillard is a negative on defense. He has averaged 25 and 7 for the Bucks offense the last 2 years. You now take that out, and for a guy, like you just took that away. Obviously, he was going to be gone because the Achilles anyways, but you took that away and destroyed your next 5 years of financial flexibility to its like high degree in exchange for a guy who is a fully off-ball player. Completely off-ball player. Miles Turner is not going to put the ball in his hands and create for himself. He's just not. That's just not his game. And you didn't solve the scoring problem.
You do not want him doing even in the post. You don't want him.
And you didn't solve the scoring problem. You have your next best scorers are Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., and Kyle Kuzma. That's disgusting. The Wizards have better scoring options than that. Like that's horrendous. I don't get it. I would have rather, if you wave and stretch Dame, fine, but don't do it so you can sign this long-term contract without the flexibility to build around it. Because now you have put yourself in a position where you have Turner. And listen, Turner for the Bucks, I don't hate it. Like I think Turner's probably as close to the best centers you can put next to Giannis as possible. But waving and stretching Dame and signing that contract gives you such a little flexibility to add an elite enough player to make it worth it. You don't have the room to sign another Dame type point guard, right? Like it just doesn't make sense unless you are planning to make a big trade. Like let's say, I mean, I'm going to use it as an example just because this is the How About the Celtics podcast. Let's say you pitch the Celtics, hey, give us Derek White or Peyton Pritchard, and we'll give you every draft capital thing we have in business. Sure. Then you can maybe sell yourself. You have Derek White, Giannis, and Miles Turner. Then I'm there. Then you got me. I get it. Waving and
They don't
stretching
have
Dame
any
gives
draft
you
stuff to do that.
exactly. You have given yourself not only like you need one of the two. You either need the financial flexibility to sign somebody good enough in free agency, or the draft picks flexibility to trade for somebody, and they have neither because they just waived their point guard with 23 million dead on the books and didn't get a replacement like offensive player.
I get it, but like you weren't going to have, regardless, a good offensive player. Like this year,
Yes.
Dame was obviously going to be hurt. Like
100%.
you mentioned, next year he's not going to be like I don't know how much production you're going to get from Dame. We
You're
talked
right.
about that at the beginning of the show.
And now you don't have it this year, next year, and you have $23 million in dead money on the books for 5 years instead of just getting off it completely in 2 and having at least the shell of an offensive hub next year. Like you have nothing. Now you are paying him to do nothing. You're paying him to be off the team. $23 million. You're paying him what percent of the cap is that? Like 20% of the cap? Like 15% of the cap?
Percentage changes year to year, but this year it is 14.6, next year 13.6, 12.4, 11.8,
Sure.
11.2. So it does decrease like
over a tenth of your cap. Gone. See you later. Do not get to use it for 5 years.
in the short term. I just think this is like it's definitely a panic move, but in the short term, like that's where they need to try and do something. And the point stands, they do not have scoring. Like you're absolutely right. But like if you're thinking about putting a team around Giannis, the way this Bucks team is going to have to operate is he's going to have to do everything. Like it's gonna have to be like Jokic-esque on-off numbers for this to work for them. Like that is what will have to happen. But the East is weak, so they probably talked themselves into it.
If they had done this and said, okay, instead of Miles Turner, let's try to get Dennis Schroeder and Luke Cornett. Let's try to get Ty Jerome and Kevon Looney. Let's try to get Clint Capella and like I don't know, D'Angelo Russell and Gary Trent and Joe Ingles. Like piece it together. Don't spend $25 million on Miles Turner. Like that's where you lost me. It's the combo of the two moves. I don't think waiving and stretching Dame is very smart because it ruins your financial flexibility. I don't think signing Miles Turner to a big contract is that smart because it limits your ability to fill the rest of the roster. Doing both screws you. You're fucked. You have no means of doing anything else. Go sign a group of role players that can help you. Go sign Mamu and give him a chance at the center position. Go sign Luke Cornett because he got $10 million a year from the Spurs. Go sign Kevon Looney because he can at least get you rebounds next to Giannis. Go sign Day'Ron Sharp. Go steal him away. Go get a guard. Go get a high scoring guy in D'Angelo Russell who can at least run the offense a little bit. Go get Luke Kennard so he can shoot for you. Go get DFS. Like this was the only thing that they couldn't do was spend all of the money on somebody who can only work if you have a great point guard / supporting cast around him. And then they just slashed their supporting cast and signed all of their budget on a guy who is a role player. I hate it. I still
think Miles Turner can work next to Giannis. Like I'm not as low on it as you are. I understand
your
point about like the secondary scoring really isn't there. Like Giannis is going to have to create everything. Like that is a fact. He's going to have to do all of the legwork for the Bucks to be a good team. Maybe you can talk yourself into Kevin Porter Jr. like being a creator because he wants to do that. I don't have his numbers in front of me. Trent's numbers do not jump off the page as somebody who's going to be able to be a creator. He's somebody who's going to thrive off the ball. But man, I get it, but I don't get it. Like I think you make a lot of good points about it. It just isn't the move that like the second dominoes were not the right moves to make. If you wanted to waive Dame and then make some other moves that you mentioned and laid out where you feel like it can make your roster better balanced to play with Giannis, let's see. Last year for the Bucks, Kevin Porter Jr. averaged 11 on 49% from the field, 41% from 3, and came off the bench for about 20 minutes. Like he's not going to be a primary creator guy, and if he is, he's going to be very inefficient in doing so. I don't know. They don't really have the draft picks to like talk themselves into maybe down the line. Like They made a good first step for a team that has flexibility. They just don't.
I disagree. I just disagree, man.
If they had all their draft picks, would you be saying the same thing? Like it's a death wish?
If they had all their draft picks, they'd have a little bit more flexibility to make a trade for a guy who can help them. Yeah.
For a team with no flexibility, this is tough.
For a team with no flexibility, you wait out the Dame contract, eat the fact that you fucked up, and then go from there. You don't wave and stretch Dame and then sign a guy who would only make sense if you had Dame.
I still think it makes sense if you have Giannis.
Sure, but
it's less about Miles Turner. It's more about the things that he doesn't do as an individual.
Miles Turner makes sense if you have Giannis and another secondary option. I don't think he makes sense as your secondary option because that is the position.
Should be the secondary option either.
But he is, because that's the position they put themselves in. He is the second highest paid player on the team now. Like that's why it's a fucked up, because they put themselves in a position where he has to be your secondary option based on the money and based on the scoring. And that's not good. But
I don't know.
I like Miles Turner a lot, next to be honest. 100%.
I think you're forgetting they just got Micic.
Okay. And we'll move on there. Next thing we got is the Nuggets traded MPJ to the Nets. MPJ and a 2032 first round pick unprotected to the Nets for Cam Johnson. They then followed that up by signing Bruce Brown in free agency, by signing Tim Hardaway Jr. in free agency. The Nuggets are cooking. Traded for Valanciunas, traded Darius Saric for Valanciunas. Shout out the Nuggets. This has been a phenomenal offseason of getting work done to help Jokic gun for another championship.
Yeah, like they've gotten everybody. They make this tremendous trade for Cam Johnson. Not only do they get a guy who's going to help them win games, they get off of like one of the worst contracts in the NBA. The MPJ contract was bad 2 years ago, before we really saw the effects that the CBA is having on teams. Now it's horrible. He was like exposed as a loser in this playoff run where Jokic had to come out and be like, if you're not like ready to play now, I don't know what to fucking tell you. And then he's still going to be cooking for $40 million-ish a year for a couple seasons. Like that is a bad deal. Then they get Cam Johnson, who's a good fit next to Jokic. Mm-hmm. Good size, good shooting. He's been on contending teams before. He was on that Suns team that went to the finals in 2021 against Milwaukee. Like, he has experience. He's going to be thrilled to be off of a hellhole of a team in Brooklyn.
And they shed $17 million immediately.
Correct.
Oh, crazy.
And what did they do with it? Work. They go and get all these other guys who are going to help the team be good too. Like, Valanciunas is a great fit. Bruce Brown signs on a minimum deal.
That's my point. They haven't even spent the money.
Tremendous. Tim Hardaway Jr., great fit next to Jokic. I'm excited to see what they have for us in Denver next year. They're going to be a hoss.
And they still have room to work because those are minimum contracts. Bruce Brown was a minimum. Tim Hardaway Jr., as far as I know, is a minimum. They still have room to add help to this roster. And they have a good team already. And they're getting De'Ron Holmes back from his ACL, so they'll have another backup center option, backup forward option. They can roll Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Cam Johnson, Aaron Gordon, Jokic with Bruce Brown and Valanciunas and Peyton Watson off the bench. Pretty damn good, if you ask me. I'm happy if I'm Nuggets. That sounds good. I think I compete in the West. Not only is Cam Johnson an equal to Michael Porter Jr. as a shooter, he's probably a little bit better. Just as a pure 3-point shooter, he can create for himself a little bit, right? He can create for others a little bit. He's probably a better defender overall. It's just a seamless fit, and he makes less money, and he's under 2-year contract from here on out. Shout out the Nuggets. They're probably my second favorite offseason so far of the summer, and they deserve credit for that. And we can get into the first as we. We'll go over right now to free agency catch up, not the Bucks. Let me go over all the moves in free agency. So I have listed out all of our. These are players that have switched teams. I'm going to speed run real quick. Miles Turner, Bucks. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Hawks. Dorian Finney-Smith, Rockets. Duncan Robinson, Pistons. Dennis Schroeder, Kings. Karis LeVert, Pistons. Clint Capella, Rockets. Brook Lopez, Clippers. Kevon Looney, Pelicans. Jake LaRivia, Lakers. Gershon Yabusele, Knicks. D'Lo to the Mavs. Kennard to the Hawks. Gary Harris to the Bucks. Tyus Jones to the Magic. Michaelishvili to the Raptors. Watford to the 76ers. Plumlee to the Hornets. Hardaway Jr. to the Nuggets. Nance to the Cavs. And Bruce Brown to the Nuggets. Those are all the players that have switched teams. Maybe I missed a couple, but I tried to list them all. My favorite offseason, the Atlanta Hawks. They have seen we can at least be pretty good with a lot of really good lanky defenders around Trae Young. So what they do, they went out and got KP for free. Take the risk. Take the chance. Let's see what happens. Let's see what we can do. Traded back with the Pelicans in the Derek Queen deal to get a player they were projected to take at 13 in Asa Newell and get a future Bucks pick, which now looks pretty damn good. Then you go out and you sign Nickeil Alexander-Walker in free agency from the Hawks. Then you go out and sign Luke Kennard to add shooting to the roster. You can now roll out what? Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Risache, Kristaps Porzingis with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard, Asa Newell, Okongwu off the bench. I'm thrilled. I'm fucking thrilled with that roster in this Eastern Conference. They're going to be a good team. They're going to be damn good.
I might have put a future on the Hawks this week. I think they could win the Eastern Conference next year if things fall right for them. I agree with you. Like, they've had an incredible offseason. Getting Porzingis is a great get. We've talked about the prospects in the past of Trae Young getting traded to San Antonio and playing with Wemby and how nice that would be to have as like a steel curtain behind him protecting the basket. Well, Porzingis isn't like... He's not like your enforcer rim protector, but he's a great help defender who can sky up for block shots. And if he's healthy, big if, as I'm sure you feel deep within your soul, he can help them win a lot of basketball games. Not to mention that they have Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson. Johnson, who's coming back, who was incredible last year before he got hurt. Daniels, who was an all-NBA level defender last year. He was the steals leader. They have a really great team equipped to help them win basketball games with Trae Young, who Trae Young has gotten a lot of shit, including from myself, for just being like a my career guy that pads his stats and has the ball a lot and, you know, will dribble and do everything himself. This is maybe the best possible team for him to do that, where the rest of his teammates can be low usage guys while Porzingis can be a strong secondary offensive option. We've seen him create with the Celtics for the last 2 seasons when he gets that ball at the free throw line. Feels like it's almost automatic unless he's in the playoffs against the New York Knicks. I love what they have done. They have just a great season ahead of them. They have the luxury of watching that Pelicans Bucks ass off this year. Like, who's going to be worse? Which, if you ask Jack, Bucks are going to be pretty bad. I think they might be like competitive in the East just because they have Giannis.
If you have Giannis, you'll be fine. They're going to be worse than last year.
The Pelicans.
Bad. I think bad. Well,
might be really bad.
Yeah. I think they'll be better than they were last year. But
in the
that's not
West,
saying much.
Bad.
Yeah. Better than they were last year, though. And I mean, lottery odds.
They were like bottom tier bad last year.
That's what I'm saying. And lottery odds don't matter on conference standing; they matter on overall standing. So,
correct.
I think the Pelicans will be better than the Nets, the Wizards, the Hornets, and the Bulls, barring what the Hornets do. Because I've actually liked the Hornets off season. It's just, will they be healthy? You'll never know.
The Hornets might be like this year's Pistons, not 6 seed good, but they might be knocking on the door of the play-in.
It just depends on if they're healthy, and it's impossible to know because LaMelo's never healthy.
Yep,
and Brandon Miller has been out.
Healthy. I like Sexton for them. Maybe Brandon Miller takes a little bit of a step up. Maybe Nipple's good right away and can fill a role for them. Like, there are a lot of ifs with Charlotte that make it really difficult to feel great about them, but I'm questioning if they are still on like that bottom feeder tier or not. I'm not sure.
I think they're better than the Nets and the Wizards. I just don't like. It's all health related, man. We'll see what happens. All right, Ratlist, go ahead.
Ratlist was my commute here yesterday. Poor Jack. Jack and I were supposed to do our recording yesterday at like 3 p.m. maybe. I didn't arrive till 6. I drove from Rhode Island to Delaware. I drove the entire way, and I was at 0 miles per hour on the highway in far too many different spots. There was a lot of traffic yesterday. The Washington Bridge is like always good. George Washington Bridge is always to be expected as like a hellhole for traffic. We also were given a dose of downpour throughout the back half of the trip where you couldn't see a whole lot. You had to have the hazards on. It was just an infuriating back end of the drive. There was this guy, when I was in New Jersey, there was like a car accident like right in the middle of the highway, which resulted in another 0 mile an hour area. I'm trying to get over because I quite literally have to, and I've had my signal on. And he like tries to speed up and not let me in, and then like I lay on the horn at him because I mean I'm like 5.5 hours into my drive at this point. Like I've had it, and he's like, what? Like he's like making signs at me in the mirror like I'm crazy, and I'm just like, what do you mean? Like you saw me, you tried to hit me, and then you got mad at me for beeping at you. Yeah, like don't be a prick. How about that?
Disaster. What do I want to rat list? My tire. I have to go get new tires tomorrow, or at least one new tire. Because I apparently drove over a nail at some point. So not thrilled with that. But I think it should be relatively easy. They just said send me a picture of your tires so we can get it in stock in time, and I said okay, and so I think it'll be fine. So I'm just gonna go take a picture of my tire and go from there. But was not thrilled that I came to realize that I popped my tire, and then AAA came in the middle as my roommates and I were watching a movie, and I missed the ending of the movie because I had to go
What
meet
movie?
AAA. It was the Timothy Chalamet Willy Wonka movie. We were just
Any good?
watching it. I don't know. I didn't see the fucking ending because I had to go see AAA.
To that point, was it any good?
It was good. I was excited to see the ending, and I didn't get to see the ending. We also saw the F1 movie, which was pretty good. So
I've been enjoying watching movies lately. I
gotta get the AMC pass thing. The
Why
are
is
you
that?
familiar?
Oh,
Well, 'cause
the
it
AMC
is-
like is in the theater. For some reason, yeah, no, I'm aware of AMC's in movie passes. Like Showcase Cinemas has like a movie pass. I thought you meant TMC, like the classic movie channel. I was like, why? Like
No,
you're really into like old westerns?
AMC is $20 a month, and you can see up to 4 movies a week.
Yeah, it's fire.
It's a great deal. I need to do it.
Love going to the movies. It's one of my favorite activities. You can do it alone. Just great. Just sit there. Nobody bothers you. I watched. I don't know if I did this on the show Stop Me. I watched the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre the other day, which is like old, like 1976.
Sure.
I was like bored on Prime looking at it.
Uh-huh.
Kids in this movie, and you could say this about any horror movie, stupid. Like there's like 5 kids, and 4 of them die all by running right into the dude, like into the guy's house with the chainsaw. Like they just go right in the front door, trespassing. Like honestly, like is he actually like wrong? Like probably shouldn't chainsaw them, but like isn't he like legally allowed to, if they trespass, like take them out? I don't know.
Well, probably because they are trying to run away from him as well, and they're just happening to run into him. Like,
well,
he is tormented.
They weren't trying to run away from him at first. Like they're like looking for like gas, so they just walk in the guy's house.
Oh yeah, no, that's not allowed. Yeah,
and then they are later looking for their friends. There's only one. He only chases one person. He chased them for like a half hour.
Did he kill them?
He's not in shape. No, she gets away.
Oh, yeah.
He's not in the shape to be chasing her for a half hour.
Surely it's their own fault then. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't think I have anything else. I think I'm pretty good with rat list. I cleaned my room, or Michaela and I cleaned my room yesterday because it was getting bad. So it is kind of nice to have a clean room. Not fun though. Didn't love cleaning my room.
Soon, man. I'm gonna hate
That sucks.
it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hate doing it.
Michaela's moving now. It's like she moves on the 6th. So it's that time of year, man. And then I mean, shit, Summer League's coming up too. I leave for Summer League in a week.
That'll be fun.
Man, that'll be fun. It's just I'm tired. There's a lot going on. Whew. That's all
We're
I got.
gonna be
You got
off
anything
for
else?
like not off, but we'll miss this time in a month.
For sure, until they do a million trades then anyways. Until they start loading up with trades. All right. Anyways, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and all that. Sam, take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment. Let us know how you're feeling. Probably not feeling good after this week's worth of off-season news for the Celtics. But you can subscribe because we will commiserate with you through it all. We're here every single day. New pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps are up the one after each game. Other videos are here in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can find the two of us streaming pregame live here. I don't think we're going to do it for Summer League, but we do it during the season. We will have Summer League content for you, though. And other videos are up in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. So yeah, subscribe. We're on Spotify and Apple too. All pods and recaps are up there, as well as any breaking news content. Leave a 5-star review. Follow us there. We'd appreciate that very, very much. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We're reading them every single show. Big shout out to you if you've been sending them in. You can let us know how you're feeling, what you're looking for, if you like Dame, if you don't like Dame. hbtcpod@gmail.com. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's Jack's1NBA. Mine's at Samuel Frank NBA. That's it for us.